How's everybody doing today? I have Mrs. Bruno. How are you doing today?
I am well. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing really well. I met Mrs. Bruno during my incarceration, and she has been such a help, not only in bringing other volunteers to help prepare us for release, but also following up with at one time a bi-weekly group meeting. And so I have a question for you, Mrs. Bruno.
What you
What is something that we can discuss that will help others today?
Good question. Great question, Sean. And one of the things that I I promote is to seek to understand and not to deny the effects of prison. So
Okay.
that's my message, to raise awareness on the psychological impact of incarceration, to address the trauma, incarceration trauma, and post incarceration trauma.
Okay. And so, what caused you to take an interest in this particular subject matter?
Sean, I took it personal. Uh, so just a little about my story and how my organization, which is a nonprofit, Wife After Prison, which was established in 2018, my husband Kevin and I, we briefly dated in the ninth grade, 1976. In 2014, Kevin sent me a friend request on Facebook. I was working overseas in Bagram, Afghanistan. And so he sent me that Facebook request, and within 7 days, we were engaged, in which 53 days later, we were married. And so the first two years were amazing, amazing. Kevin, kind, considerate, very supportive husband. You know, breakfast in bed, baby, what can you need? That type of thing. I even had some women who envied my relationship with my husband because he was just almost the perfect husband. And going into that third year, Kevin's behavior began to change. He became really, really unrecognizable, both in character and behavior. And I didn't know what had happened to this man who was my soulmate, but he began to treat me like a cellmate. Uh, and so after a lot of praying, a lot of crying, God, what has happened to my amazing husband? God just led me to Google one day, can a boy become a man in prison? And when I Googled that, there was a website that popped up, The Psychological Impact of Incarceration, written by a psychologist by the name of Craig Haney.
Hmm.
Another website, Post Incarceration Syndrome and Relapse by Terry Gorski. And so I began to read that, and all of the symptoms uh, to this mental disorder called post incarceration syndrome was what I was seeing in Kevin. And I said, hey, can you read this? And he read that, and he confirmed that those were some of the symptoms that he was going through. And so I needed support for me because it had really, really gotten bad. Our relationship was really, really unstable. We had separated 3 times, near divorce, and I needed support for myself because of the effect that the behavior was having on me. I could not find any support for after prison. I was on Google, I was online just trying to find out. Uh, I needed some help for me. I'm taking the focus now off of Kevin. I need some support for me, and I couldn't find anything. So one day I went on Facebook, I Googled prison wives groups, and just a whole slew
Hmm.
of groups popped up. And I joined 26 of the prison wives groups. And one day I sit down and I calculated each member per group, and it was over 26,000 people. And nobody was talking about after prison. Nobody was talking about the effects of imprisonment. And so I went to Kevin and I talked to him about it. And he decided, we decided that we were going to be transparent. We was going to talk about the struggles after prison as it relates to relationships. And so we did. But once I created this private Wife After Prison private support group, it took the focus off of me. It was a healing for me to be able to serve others with this information, because Sean, nobody was talking about the after effects of prison. So that's how Wife After Prison came about. That's how Wife After Prison private community came about, so that we could educate not only wives, although it's called Wife After Prison, this encompasses the whole family, the mother, the sister. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you this. Have you found a common denominator in why a lot of people are not discussing this? I applaud the fact that you've come through and you're continuing to come through. But what stands out in my mind is, why do you think people don't want to discuss this?
I think number one, again, a lot of people were not familiar with the effects of imprisonment. And it has a lot to do with your psychological makeup. So it has to do with mental wellness and mental health or mental illness. And that is a disdain word for a lot of people. You say mental health and they don't want to touch it. Nobody wants to touch it. And so this is, like I said, I took it personal, because my husband, so kind, so caring, started to display some behaviors that was just totally not like him. And I'll share this with you. There's one guy that I was talking to, went to prison at 15, got out at 54. And I asked him, I said, did you have any type of mental health treatment while you were on the inside? And I said, you went in at 15. Were you diagnosed? Did you have any treatment? Did you talk to anybody? He said, no. I said, okay. So then you were transferred to another unit during the intake process. Did you have any kind of evaluation, any treatment? He said, no. Okay, so now it's time for you to get out. You go to a pre-release unit. Did you have any intake in? He said, no, I've never had any type of treatment for mental health. And I said, let me ask you this. Why did you not, you were experiencing some behavior issues, some thoughts. Why did you not seek out treatment on the inside? Mm-hmm. And he said, because when I hear mental health, I think crazy. I think that people are saying that I'm crazy. And so right before COVID, I had a licensed professional counselor to go in with me at the Caravans unit, so we can talk about what mental health is and what mental health is not. Okay. Right? And so during that session, the guys began to relax, because they see that mental health has nothing to do with crazy. Okay. Mental health is as common as a common cold. At some point in our life, we've all been depressed. We've all had a sense of sadness. We've all had some type of grief that it was hard to recover from. Well, that has to do with our mental wellness. And so a lot of people are uneducated, Sean. They're uneducated about this whole mental wellness, what it is, what it is not, and then the stigma that is attached to it. If you go talk to somebody, you're crazy. My thing is, you do all of this kind of time and you come out and you have all of these issues and you don't go talk to somebody, Okay. And so that's another thing, a stigma, what society says about you if you go to talk to somebody. And my thing again is this: nobody has to know you went to talk to somebody. Did nobody know you went to Walmart? Did nobody know you went to the mall? So why is it that you think that somebody would know that you went to talk to a licensed professional counselor, therapist.
Those are not only true statements, but it continues to reoccur in my mind that you've made this personal. So on that point, allow me to ask, if you were speaking to a woman who was in your former situation, what would you tell her that would help her today to get to the point to where you're at now? I know it's not just a one size fits all, but I know through various experiences that I've had in life, as human beings, we are more alike than disalike. So if you were
Yeah.
speaking to that woman right now, based upon your experience, and she's watching this and she's like, I heard something that might help me. But when she leaves this interview,
Mhm.
she's going to have some actions. What would you share with her?
What I would share to her, and I'm not trying to promote my book, but I would tell her to get a copy of my book. And
Okay.
my
I've
thing
read
is,
that book.
yeah, my thing is, Sean, is to understand. Again, seek to understand. You have to understand the impact of trauma. Again, pre-incarceration, incarceration, post-incarceration. Okay. And so you have to then again understand what prison does to a person, because I see so many that has unrealistic expectations of their loved ones. He's going to come home and he's going to do this and he's going to do that and he's going to, and chances are, he's not going to do these things, not right out the gate. He has good intentions. Secondly, I would tell her is to do not focus on him. Do not. Make sure that your well-being is whole. Make sure that you're whole, you're taking care of yourself, physically, emotionally, most certainly spiritually, because this is a battle. This is a battle. So my thing is, and I get this question all of the time, what can I do to support my loved one? And my answer is, first and foremost, seek to understand, not to deny. But then secondly, self-care. You cannot do anything for him. You cannot be anything to him until you first something to yourself. You got to be whole. Your cup has to be overflowing, not just full. It has to be overflowing. He'll get the overflow. And what's in the cup is for you. Because this is the deal. If you have two broke people, he's had traumatic experience in his life, you've had traumatic experiences in your life, never dealt with, and you guys come together, that won't work. But if you have somebody who is whole and overflowing, I'll be able to pour into you, pour into you, pour into you. But if my cup is half full and your cup is half full and I'm just pouring into you, guess what? After a while, my cup is empty. Your cup is empty, and there's no resolution there. So a lot of times in the group, I hear him, what he's doing. He's home and he's doing this, and he's home and he's not doing this. And he's just all of this pointing the finger at him. And I have to say, it took my therapist showing me so that I could take my eyes off of Kevin. Because we as family members, we tend to think just because you've been to prison, you got the problems. Not so. Not so. And if you're going to have a whole household, a healthy household, anything in there that's broken needs to be fixed. Any person who's in that household is broken, that person needs to be fixed. And it doesn't have to be prison related.
You once shared with me this subject matter is like an onion, that when we peel back one layer, another layer is there. And so allow me at this point, let's look at another set of circumstances. You have been heavily involved in the reentry process, preparing men to re-enter society and be able to be financially as well as vocationally prepared. Can you give me one difficulty that you've had in helping in this process and one win that you've had in helping in this process of developing men to be able not only to be financially stable, but also vocationally stable?
You know, I've only had maybe a few instances where it was challenging.
Okay.
And the reason it was challenging is because the individuals, they had a life sentence. And because they had a life sentence, they thought that they were going to die in prison. And so they did not do the work. They didn't do any work. They was just day by day waiting on that day to die in prison. So there was no education, there was no GED, there was nothing. So, when somebody comes to your cell and say, hey, get your stuff, you're going home or whatever, you were not prepared. And so that makes it so difficult on the reentry side, because most jobs require at least a GED, right? And so if you don't have a GED, and so now we have to find an organization that will administer GED, you got to study for the GED and all of that. So that was very, very challenging. That was a challenging experience. And so my thing is, whether you got a life sentence or not, you don't know what God's going to do. Get in there, get your GED. If you can get you some degrees, get you some degrees, but just don't do that time.
Okay.
Make something of that time. Okay, a win. Oh, Lord God, I love that. It's been a lot of wins, Sean. I have been so proud of some of the guys. Well, yeah, some of the guys that have came out of caravans, they are putting in the work, and because they're seeing their desired results.
Mhm.
I have been working with one individual one-on-one since March, and I tell you, I can't be more pleased with him because he set his goals, and he's ahead of his goals. He has accomplished everything that he said he wanted to do. But again, you have to put in the work. And sometimes the work requires you being uncomfortable, right?
Mhm.
But you have to be willing to be uncomfortable temporarily so that you can be comfortable on the other side of temporarily, which is
Yeah.
permanent. So it takes a support system, but it also takes the willingness to not to let your past dictate your future, and you go all in. So there has been many successful reentries.
Thank you. Now, this is a subject that I remember you discussed extensively, that even on some of the Zoom calls that we had, men who have been incarcerated for any period of time coming out and immediately jumping into relationships with women. And so, before we turn this interview around, do you have any insight into that particular set of circumstances? An incarcerated male who's done X amount of time coming out and immediately getting involved with the opposite sex in an intimate manner, emotionally, physically, financially. What would you say about that? Come on
Sean,
now.
a good question again. That has happened more times than I care to even think about,
Okay.
because I know that relationships are challenging, and then you factor in you've never had, and some of the people that I'm thinking of, you never had an adult relationship,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I know the challenges that come with that. And there has been several who have come back and say, Miss Bruno, you told me not to get in no relationship, because I've seen them take a toll on several of the individuals, to the point of thinking about suicide.
Okay.
Yeah. So, um,
So to the
some,
man that's watching,
to the
and
man
he's
who's
saying he
watching,
don't understand, although I understand, Mrs. Bruno understands. He's saying in his mind right now, you don't understand. I've done this time. I've gotten out. I've been deprived of a relationship with a female. She's this, she's that. Oh, and the cherry on the top, she believes in God. What are you saying to him directly? Don't hold back. Somebody watching. Somebody watching.
you know
Amy
what?
Houston in you.
My thing is this, because give yourself a chance. Fall madly in love with you. Not to the point where I think I love myself. I don't know. Fall madly in love with yourself. Fill your cup up. Oof.
Amen.
Until it overflows. Because if you find yourself in a relationship with a needy woman, I need her, I need her, I need her. Her name, I need her, I need her, I need her, I need her. You've never had this type of pressure. And now you're trying to fulfill all of these needs that she has. That will cause you to crumble. That will cause you to break. I want to tell you something about what I did. And I'm telling you, I have learned so much. When Kevin and I first got married, for the first 2 years, I never, required that he would give a certain amount of money per month. You know, I would take care of everything pretty much, and he would contribute. And at that second year, going into that third year, when I was like, I need you to be more responsible. I said, I need you to be more responsible. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And one day he stopped and he looked at me with such a look of pain. This always gets me.
Take your time.
He said, Sheila, what does responsibility look like? He said, prison strips you of responsibilities. You're told when to go to bed, when to get up, when to do this, when to do that. He said, but what does responsibility look like? He said, you've always known what you wanted in a husband. He said, I don't know if I could be that man. And when you think back over his life, he didn't see that. He didn't see the model husband. He didn't see, the biblical husband. He didn't see that. And certainly he didn't see it in prison. And then you come home and you got this wife, this alpha female, and then she starts pouring this stuff on you. Now, for 2 years, she had some crutches for you. You can lean on these crutches, right? And then after 2 years, she snatches those crutches from under you, right? And so my thing is this, the relationships will be there. Seek God. Seek God. I'm telling you, some of these guys have gotten out, Sean, and have gotten in some relationships that has caused them to say, I want to go back.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
yeah,
I thank
yeah.
you for sharing that.
So
And
that
that
relationship piece is dear to my heart because, I know the expectations that we as females can put on men. And because you don't want to seem as a failure, or because there's this ego thing. I'm the man. I'm supposed to be the provider. I'm supposed to do this. I got to hold it down, this, that, and other. And you want to fulfill those duties, but it's okay if you can't do it right now. It's okay, you know? And my thing is this, just find the woman that will ride with you that say, okay, baby, it's okay. It's okay.
Thank you. That's very not only good insight, but it's powerful. I know it's powerful. And so before we end this interview, do you have any questions that you would like to ask me?
I do, Sean. Sean, I've been watching you. I watched you on the inside. You were consistent. You were always moving in. For what I could see, you were planning for reintegration. You wanted to make sure that you do it right, that you successfully reintegrate. Now, there's a price to pay for reintegration. Everything is not smooth. Everything is not easy. There's going to be some failures. There's going to be some. So what has the process for you been like?
One, I've been truly blessed to have good support around me. And one of the things that I share with my peers is the people who are speaking into your life, not just the professionals who've never been in trouble, not just the family members who have good intentions, but actually your peers who've been incarcerated, who have been out longer than you. I cannot tell you how many times, not because I asked for it, but I got a phone call and somebody might say, hey man, you're doing good. Just be patient. Hey man, if something comes up or you want to accomplish some things and you can't do it right now, just be patient. Hey bro, you know, the relationship that you have with God right now, don't let social media get in the way of that. And so I'm going to say the process has looked like listening to support. That's one aspect. The process also, because I'm on a GPS monitor, which is I'm heavily supervised. I have learned that everyone does not handle their business the same. Meaning this, everyone is not paperwork oriented. Everyone is not on time in their expectations or in their questions for you. And seeing as I have been benefited with being allowed to be free, restored back to society, the onus is always on me to be responsible. And that is not frustrating, but it has been a challenge dealing with the various attitudes and the operating procedures of people who are not necessarily consistent. And it is not because I have not met a mean-spirited individual, but I have met individuals who you wait to the last minute to do something or tell me something, and I have to jump through hoops to be able to accomplish that. Otherwise, it goes not good for me. That has been the hardest part because I have to have a mentality of like a cornerback. A cornerback in the NFL, when he gets beat for a long pass, he's still going to at some point have to come back on the field. So he has to, in one way, have a short memory. So I have to have a short-term memory if the mistake was on their behalf. I have to be able to humble myself to the point to say, you're not asking me to do evil, but you asked me to do some things that if you wrote it down on paper, you would not only see the difficulty of that, and I'll give you an example of that. COVID is here. Recently, I was around some individuals who contracted COVID. Well, I have to go through the process of getting a schedule to go get a test. That is a set of circumstances that on one level, there is an immediate need because I work around youth. But it was a little bit difficult. But thank God, everything worked out. But the hardest part, I would say, is just being pliable to the expectations of the authorities who control my parole status. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not blaming anyone, but it has been difficult because I have to figure out, are you a person that's paperwork oriented? Are you a person that's schedule oriented? Are you a person that's computer literate? Are you a person who understands? Say, it might appear that I know how to do a lot of different things because you see me doing different things. But this simplistic thing right here that you're asking me to do, I really don't know. Simplistic would be, what name do I put on the money order? And so,
Mm-hmm.
but what do you mean, what name? Do I put
Mm-hmm.
state? Do I put your name? Do I put, and that exchange can be difficult because it can go down like this. Hey, you owe these fees, you need to pay this. Okay, I have the cash. No, we don't accept cash. You need to get a money. Okay, I have to get a money order, but I have to make a schedule to get the money order. I owe the money in the next 2 weeks. My schedule
Yeah.
doesn't come up until the 2 weeks is up. How do I get the money order? You have to get the money order. I get the money order. When I get the money order and I get prepared to present it, here's the money order. Okay, what name do I put on? What you mean? What name?
Oh, Sean.
Saying that I literally don't know what name. I'll give you as many money orders as you want, but I
Yeah.
need the name. Well, write this name right here. Okay, that's the first time. The second time, excuse me, can you tell me the name? I just told you the name. You did. You told me the name 2 weeks ago. I forgot the name. If you tell me the name, I now know how to operate my phone and I can put that in there. And so those are the difficulties. And
Yeah.
finally, I would say that the blessing.
Yeah.
And
Isn't it?
so what's helped me cope is the support.
Yeah.
What's been difficult is learning how to work within the framework of whoever is in authority over me in a manner that is not
Yeah.
misconstrued as, are you being smart? Do you think
Yeah.
you're smart? No, I'm just trying to do it. And I'm really, my personality is I'm
Understand.
straightforward. So the look that
Yeah.
I have on my face, I'm not upset. This is just me. I'm focused because you control my freedom. The
Yeah.
blessing has been, God has been with me, and
Yeah.
not only people such as yourself, but the organization that I work for. They
Yeah.
have bent over backwards. They have made allowances for me not only to do what I need to do for parole, but they have been supportive in the sense of, we understand and we're here to help you. So I thank you. I thank my organization, which is General Jobs.
Yeah.
And that's what the processes look like thus far.
Wow. So, Sean, let me ask you this too, as it relates to the monitor, because I'm talking to several who are on the monitor, so it's restricted. And so, you find this one girl and she the one, okay? She the one,
Okay.
okay. But when that monitor comes off, like right now, you're just confined to one area, one neighborhood. But when
Yes.
that monitor comes out, you're free to
Okay.
roam around. And so that's another issue that I've been seeing with guys as it relates to relationship. I said, you are confined right now. So when that monitor comes out, you're going to be free to roam. So what if you go over here and then you find an interest right here? You go over there and you find an interest. So what do you think? What would change for you when the monitor comes out?
Okay. One one thing that will change for me, the onus will not just be on me to figure out where I'm going to be for 2 weeks at a time. So that's going to be easy, especially with these holidays. Every day I need to figure out where I'm going to be, what Christmas Eve service I'm going to. So that's going to change, and I look forward to that. But I would
Yeah.
I would tell you an experience that I had, if you have a brief moment. I stay in an area that's located near a lake, and they have a lot of boats and a lot of parties and all kinds of things. And so oftentimes if I go to the window, you might look out there and you see all kinds of, as they would say, fun. And what happens is I have not been tempted in the manner that I need to run outside, I need to be a part of fun, I need to do this. And I talked to a pastor about it, and he made a statement to me, and that statement is relevant right now. He said, when you are focused, you don't have to get focused.
Yeah.
And so I am focused. That doesn't mean I have everything together, but I am focused. And
Yeah.
so although the monitor comes off, that doesn't change anything. The
Don't
same
change that
things that
focus.
I'm about now, I can be about then. The opportunities open up
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not a part of the parameters that I have, as far as I'm focused on this, I'm focused on school, I'm focused on helping people in
Yeah.
social media,
Yeah.
I'm focused on life, continuing to learn what I don't know and continuing to be ready for what's going to come. And
Yeah.
so that's where my confidence comes, that not much is going to change because I am focused, not because
That's
I'm
it.
strong, not
That's
because
it.
I don't think I'm going to be tempted, but my focus is laser.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, Sean. I mean, I love that. Just a couple of weeks ago, every time I think about something, I'm big on affirmations. And so just the other day I wrote, I am focused, because my it was until it wasn't until Kevin and I got together, we began to, have the struggle in our marriage, and Wife After Prison was birthed, that I discovered my purpose. I know without a shadow of a doubt, this is it, right? And so I said to Kevin not too long ago, I said, in 40 years, I will be 100. And I said, I need to make sure that that dash between my birth date and my transition date says she made impact. And so that's what I'm focused on. I'm focused on making impact. And again, that's what I see with you. And again, you've been consistent. And as long as you stay consistent and you stay focused, the sky is the limit, my brother. It is. It most certainly is.
Thank you. I have enjoyed you today. I look forward to continuing to see the works that God has been not only birthing in you, but you are executing.
Amen.
Following you on LinkedIn and seeing that you're making various connections. And just know that what you have done, it matters. What you're doing will continue to make an impact. And what you're going to do, there are people such as myself watching and have great expectations for you.
Amen. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate you. I really, really do. And so you just keep doing what you're doing, and I'll keep doing what I do, and we're going to make an impact.
Okay. It
All
was
right.
nice talking to you. Okay. You have an awesome day.
All right. You as well.